So why should we think that this time it is different? To help us answer that question, I want to bring in an expert, Emanuele Ottolenghi. He's the author of Iran, the Looming Crisis. Can the West live with Iran's nuclear threat? Emanuele, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you that right off the bat. We have a new foreign policy team here in the U.S. We know there's P5+1 talks going on in Kazakhstan right now. They spoke for they've already gone on for a few hours. They've ended today's round. They're going to continue. No progress that we know of, at least that's been reported in the press, has been made. Why do we think that Iran might be willing to play ball now?
The truth is that it's very difficult to assume that this time is going to be different from previous times. The Islamic Republic does not seem to be in a rush to reach a compromise that may bar their march towards a weapons capability. They may be ready or willing to negotiate a compromise that will leave them in a position, if they so wish, to rush for a bomb in the future. Now, that would be a compromise that the West should not even contemplate. And so I think that these talks will be another round of inconclusive diplomacy. It will be useful for certainly U.S. allies in order to persuade their own constituencies that the sanctions process has to be expanded. But I just don't see at this stage Iran bending and relenting under the pressure of Western sanctions and with the offers of diplomacy that are on the table.
Amy Holmes here. Max Boot, writing over at Commentary, agrees with you, and he says that any notion of a breakthrough is close to zero. And my phrase, not his, he describes that for the Ayatollah Khamenei to have this oppositional relationship to the United States is actually the great unifier for him domestically. The great Satan is the great unifier. So if the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, is the West being quite insane when it comes to these negotiations with Iran?
Well, it is only insane insofar as people go into these negotiations assuming that a compromise is possible. But there is some utility in having this very public international theater of diplomacy, because we have seen in the past that the failure of the diplomatic process persuaded even the most skeptical Western allies of the United States to actually back a much tougher sanctions regime than one could have ever fathomed only a few years ago. So to have this process go through the motions of diplomacy, see diplomacy fail, actually serves a purpose. Now, unfortunately, it also serves a purpose for Iran, because Iran has come into these negotiations over the years with the chief intention of buying time. As long as negotiations go on, Iran thinks it can fend off even worse pressure. And at this point, I think, looking at the European and the North American landscape, Iran may have also concluded that there is not enough appetite for military action. And so to have these talks going also serves the purpose of Iran of buying time.
I just want to put up on the screen for the table to take a quick look, and also, of course, viewers at home. In the past, we've had a number of these talks. In the recent past, this is the first time in 8 months, but in December of 2010, there were talks in Geneva, January 2011, Istanbul, May of 2012, held in Baghdad, June 2012, Moscow. We have been here before many times over.
Otto, is there anything different that's going on? Is this June window, Emanuele, sorry, is this June window actually going to be taken advantage of if these talks fail?
Well, I think that the people who know the answer to that question will not agree to come on TV and give it to you. But let me just make 2 points here, which I think offer us some clues as to your questions. First of all, actually, Iran did once sort of give in to pressure, and that was between 2003 and 2006. Iran agreed not to proceed with uranium enrichment. And if we believe, of course, the national intelligence estimate released by U.S. intelligence agencies in late 2007, it also suspended its weapon program. Now, something happened very important in 2003 that may have pushed Iran in that direction, and that is having victorious American forces both in Iraq on its western border and in Afghanistan on its eastern border. So Iran does understand intense pressure when the threat of military force is credible. So having a credible threat is very important. The second point is that, of course, Iran is pursuing its goals in various ways. One is it's trying to follow the plutonium road, and its plutonium reactor is scheduled to become operational by the end of 2013. So regardless of the failure or success of diplomacy, once that reactor is operational, the Israelis certainly are not going to touch it, thereby causing tens of thousands of civilian casualties. And I doubt that the Americans would too. So indeed, if the Iranians, unless the Iranians delay that part of the program, we are only a few months away before the window closes.
All right, Emanuele, thank you for sharing that expertise. Stark analysis, but I guess it's something we need to hear.
Thank you.